Samad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Se Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridharan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Sankuro Vangshadavagni Nirritam Vangranguro Vangshadavagni Nirritam Sangrohayatva Bhava Bhavano Hari Sangrohayatva Bhava Bhavano Hari Niveshayatva Nijaraja Ishvaro Niveshayatva Nijaraja Ishvaro Yudhishthirang Pritamana Bhabuvaha Yudhishthirang Pritamana Bhabuvaha Sutta Goswami replied, Vangsham, dynasty, Kuru, of King Kuru, Vangsha, Dava Agni, forest fire set by the bamboos, Nirhitam, exhausted, Sangrohayitva, seedling of the dynasty, Bhava Bhavanaha, the maintainer of creation, Hari, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Niveshayatva, having re-established, Nija Rajyam, Raja, in his own kingdom, Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord, Yudhishtiram, unto Maharaj Yudhishthir, Pritamana, pleased in his mind, Babhuvaha, became. Translation: Sutta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaj Yudhishthir in his own kingdom, and after restoring the Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger.
The two words, Vangsha, Kuru. Vangsha means dynasty of the Kurus. Another word, Vangsha Davagni. Vangsha means bamboo. So, this dynasty is like bamboo. One bamboo, automatically, many bamboos grow side by side. So this dynasty also grows like that. One man, one woman, united, they beget children. In this way, dynasty expands. So the expansion of dynasty and the bamboo growing, practically the same thing. Bamboo, they are also living entities. And another thing is Davagni, forest fire, Davagni. The bamboos, when they collide by air, there is heat, electricity is generated and the fire takes place. That is the cause of forest fire. Nobody goes to set fire in the forest. Nowadays, of course, in your country they are doing like that. But generally, the forest fire takes place by this collision of the bamboos. So this world is like that. Therefore we sing Sangsara Davagni. Sangsara Dava. What is that? Sangsara Davagni Nalali. So this world, you may try to keep yourself very peaceful, silent, but there will be set fire automatically, the nature. Because the natural law is that it will not allow you to live peacefully. That is not possible. Just like in prison house, it is not that you'll go to the prison house and live very peacefully. No. Because prison house is meant for the criminals. So anyone who is in this material world, they are criminals. They are all criminals. Why? Krishna bhuliya jeev bhagavancha kare pasete mayatare japotiya dhare. As soon as our business is to serve Krishna, we are constitutionally made like that. Jiber Swarup hoy Nitya Krishna Das. So these rascals, Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna, when he forgets Krishna, why shall I serve Krishna? I shall become Krishna. That is Maya. As soon as you forget the service of the Lord, that is your business. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Just like this finger is part and parcel of my body. The finger's business is to carry out my order. I say, finger, come here, it comes immediately. I say, finger, come here, it comes immediately. That is the business of the part and parcel of the body. I desire the leg now should go upstairs, the leg immediately. Similarly, we being part and parcel of Krishna, our only duty is to carry out the order of Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam saranam. So as soon as we forget our duty, or we want to imitate, just like these Mayavadis, they want to imitate Krishna. They want to become Krishna. Nobody can become Krishna. These rascals, they think that by mystic yoga process one can become God. Simply rascal. Nobody can become God. God is never made. God does not become. God is always God. Not that one is not God and he becomes God by some mystic yogic power. This theory is going on amongst the Mayavadis, that by the mystic yoga practice one can become God. So we don't want such cheap God. They may become God, so-called God, but we are concerned with the real God, Krishna. Krishna, when he was 3 months old, he was God. He did not practice any mystic yoga to kill Putana. Sabha vikigyana balakriyaja. God's intelligence, power is nature. Although Krishna was on the lap of Mother Jashoda like a little baby, but the full potential of God was there. Savabhiki jnana balakriya. How to kill Putana, how to kill Aghasur, Bhagasur. Krishna knows perfectly. All the Krishna's friends, they are entering within the mouth of Aghasur. Krishna is observing, now my all friends have entered the mouth of the Aghasur. How to kill this demon? The last he entered. And at the end of the throat, he began to expand himself. Just see how he knows to do his business. Savabhiki. Krishna was a boy also, little boy. Nobody taught him how to kill this Aghasur, Bhagasur. But he knows. Savabhiki jnana balakriya. He expanded himself within the throat, and the demon was choked up and he died. Similarly, the Kesi demon came as a horse, and Krishna pushed his hand within the mouth of the horse. If you want to control horse, you have to control his mouth. Horse is controlled by the mouth. Therefore, you have seen the harnesses are fixed in the mouth, and the driver controls the mouth and the horse goes. So Krishna was a boy. How he knew it, that this demon has come in the shape of a horse. So if I have to control him, I will have to control his mouth. So he pushed his hand within the mouth of the horse, and the horse felt there's an iron bar and hot iron. So he died. Similarly, when Krishna fought with that bull, what is that also? Arishtasura. He knew that to control the bull, you have to control the horns. So he took up the horns and killed him. This is Savabhiki, nature. He knows everything. So, here it is said, Pritamana, Ishara. Ishara, Pritamana Bhavunga. Ishara became pleased. Ishara is always pleased. He is never displeased. But when he sees that people are devotees, people are acting as part and parcel of him, he is more pleased. That is bhakti. Bhaktyamam abhijanat. How God is pleased, that you can understand by discharging devotional service. Whether God is pleased or not pleased, how you can understand? Bhaktyamam abhijanat javana jasyami tattvati. Sevanmukhi hi jivhado sameva spurattada. You cannot understand what is God, what is Krishna. Generally, all people, they do not know what is God and what to speak of, understanding whether God is pleased or not pleased. They do not know what is God. This is the position of the world. They do not know what is God. Neither there is any education to understand. Although the human life is meant for understanding God. That is human life. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. The animal life, their inquiries are, in the morning just like birds, they chart where we have to go now to find out our food, where we shall eat today, where we shall go. That is their questions and answers. Similarly, we also human beings, we go to the share market, what is the value, what is the price of this commodity, what is the price of that commodity, for eating purpose. Not these questions. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. The human life should be engaged in inquiring about Brahma. What is the absolute truth? What is my position in relationship with the absolute truth? What is my duty towards the absolute truth? What is my ultimate aim of life? These questions must be discussed. Perhaps these questions are being discussed by the Krishna consciousness movement and no other movement. They do not know. The Mayavadis, they deny the existence of God. They become themselves God. So, the fact is that we have to see that Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Pritamana. That is gopis. The gopis' life is like that. They want to see Krishna always Pritamana, satisfied. That is our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. How to see Krishna Pritamana. That is our business. Here in the material world, everyone is trying to see himself, how much satisfied I am. Pritamana. Everyone is trying to become happy himself. Just Bhakti Marga, or the path of devotional service, is just the opposite. To see how much Krishna is Pritamana, satisfied. So, here it is stated that Vangshat Purur Vangsha Davagni Nirhidam. When everything was finished, Krishna knows how to kill the demons, setting fire. Just like somewhere or other, if there is fire in the forest, they automatically, so many trees, so many animals, so many other things, they become devastated, burned into ashes. So Krishna, by the policy of Krishna, all the demons were brought together in the battlefield of Kurukshetra and set them. The fire was set fighting and they died. When Arjuna was hesitating to fight, Arjuna was at last informed that why you are hesitating. It is all my plan. You fight or don't fight, doesn't matter. These people are not going back home. They will die. Nimitta matra bhavasabhasaj. You just become only a nimitta, an immediate cause. Everything is arranged. But if you fight, you get the credit. I want to see my devotee gets the credit. Everything I am doing, everything actually, just like this Krishna consciousness movement, is quickly spreading all over the world within 4 or 5 years. Is it my credit? No. It is credit of Krishna. But because I tried to do this business, people automatically giving me the credit. They say, Swamiji, you have done wonderful. I have done nothing wonderful. It is Krishna's business. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Nama Vichar. Without Krishna's strength, nobody can spread. That is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Similarly, Krishna is always ready to help us, provided we are also ready to cooperate with Him. If we cooperate with Him, what Krishna desires, if we want to do little, immediately Krishna will help you. If you work 1%, Krishna will help you 10%. Again, if you work 1%, Krishna will help you another 10%. So the 10% credit you get by the help of Krishna. Krishna gives you intelligence. Tesam satadajuktanang bhajatang pritipuja buddhi yogam dadant. If you are engaged, satata, 24 hours, without any other engagement, sarvadharman parityaja, giving up all other nonsense business. Sarvadharma. Simply if you are engaged in Krishna's business, Priti Purvakam, with love, not as hackney. Here is a duty, chanting of Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Not like that. With Priti, with love. Chant every name, Hare Krishna. And here is Krishna, here is Radha. That kind of chant, quality. Not Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, not like that. Priti. Tesam satadajuktanang bhajatang priti. That priti is required. That is the essential quality. Patram puspam phalam toyam jomi bhaktya prajachati. Real thing is bhakti. Krishna is not hungry that he will give him some good food and he will eat it. Never mind in which way you can give. Here is puri halwa, Krishna must eat. Krishna is not hungry for your puri halwa. But if there is bhakti, if there is love, then he eats. Tadahang asnan, then I eat. If there is bhakti, love, Krishna, what can I do for you? I am so teeny, you are so great. Still, I have tried to do something, if you kindly eat. This is mantra. Real mantra is not so many formalities of mantra. Krishna does not say, one who offers me with the Vedic mantras. Never says. Krishna says bhaktya, with devotion. So others may criticize you that these American Vaishnavas, they do not know how to do this, how to do that. Let them criticize. But Krishna says bhaktya, you remain perfect devotee, then your life is perfect. Krishna does not say that Indian devotee who discriminate between touchable and untouchable, and big Pandits, Deva Goswami, not Dasa Goswami. Krishna does not discriminate like that. Krishna says, Bhaktya, Jomi Bhaktya Prajachati. Krishna wants to see how much sincere devotee you have become. That is his business. Krishna does not see, either you are coming from Brahmin family or Sudra family, this family. No. Therefore, in the Shastras, it is forbidden. Vaishnava jati buddhi. Vaishnava does not belong to the material caste. He is transcendent. because he is rendering service to Krishna on the transcendental platform. He is not in the material platform. Chaturvarnam maya sishta guna karma vibhagas. That is guna. This Brahman, Kshatri, Vaishya, Shudra, they belong to the category of the three gunas, Sataguna, Rajaguna, Tamaguna. But those who are pure devotees, they are transcendental to these three gunas. Sagunan samatittayetan brahma bhuyaya kalpati. They transcend. They do not belong to these gunas. No. Mancha abhyavicharini bhakti yogina jase. Anyone who is engaged in devotional service, abhyavichari, without any deviation, just to the rules and regulations, just to the standard, then immediately sagunan samatitta etam, the plural number, all these gunas, satagun, rajagun, tamagun, he is above Brahman. Vaishnava is above Brahman. So, this world is creation of Krishna. Matta sarvang pravartate aham adirhi devanam. So, we may think that Brahma created this universe, but not. That is not the fact. Krishna said, aham adirhi devanam. I am prior to all the demigods. He is the origin of the demigods. Aham adirhi devana. Matta sarvang pravartate. Everything emanates from him. So, therefore Krishna's name is Bhava-bhavana. Bhava-bhava. This word is called Bhava-samsara. Bhava-samsara. Bhava means become. There is another nature, spiritual word, that is not bhava, that does not become. It is always existing. Nitya. Nitya lok, Vaikuntha lok. But this material world is called bhava. Bhava samsara. Bhava means it appears and again disappears. Everything here, just like your body, my body, it has appeared at a certain date and it will disappear at a certain date. Similarly, the whole universal body also. It has appeared at a certain date and it will disappear at a certain date. So, bhutta praliyate. It becomes manifested, again it becomes disappeared. Therefore, it is called bhava-samsara. But still, although it is temporary, the arrangement is so nice. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Everything is complete. It is not false. The Mayavadi, they say, this world is false. We don't say that. Why it is false? It is perfectly created by Krishna. Why I discredit Krishna? It is false. No, it is not false. It is reality. Provided you know how to utilize it. When you think that you are the enjoyer of this world, that is false. You are not the enjoyer. Enjoyer is Krishna. That is reality. Bhoktaram Jagutavasam. Sarvalokamaya. Then it is reality. As soon as you think, this is mine, this is mine, aham mameti, aham mameti, I am this body and anything in relationship with this body is mine. That is moha. But as soon as you come to the understand, nay, what is that?
Bullock cart.
So, Bhava-bhavana, Krishna, this world is created by Krishna and he wants to see it is properly maintained. and who will maintain his own representative, not the demons. Therefore, king is supposed to be a representative of Krishna. He will maintain this world properly. A Vaishnava, he knows how to utilize everything for Krishna. The aim of this creation is giving these conditioned souls another chance for liberation. That is the purpose. When the whole world is annihilated, then all the living entities again enter into the body of Mahavishnu. Then when there is again creation, then the living entities again come out according to their past position. We do not accept this rascal theory, Darwin's, that from lower grade life there is a promotion like that. But in the creation, everything is there. All the 8,400,000 species, they are all there. Although the gradations are there. So, according to the past karma, karmana daimanatrena, everyone comes out again, gets a different type of body and begins his work. Again another chance. Yes, come to the point of human understanding. Try to understand your relationship with Krishna and get yourself liberated. Go home, back to home, back. If you lose this opportunity, this creation is made for that purpose. Then again you remain. Again when everything is annihilated, you remain in dormant stage, millions of years. Again you become created. So there is a great science. Everyone should try to understand what is the responsibility of human life and to teach this responsibility, to keep men, the human society, in their responsibility. A good king is required, like Maharaj Yudhishthira. Therefore, king is supposed to be the representative of God. So after killing these demons, Kuru Vangsha Davagni Nirahata, Sangrohitya Bhavavana Hari, Niveshaitya Nijaraja Ishara Yudhishtiram. When he saw now Maharaj Yudhishthira is situated on the throne for the control of the world, he Pritamana Bhavuva, he became satisfied. There is my real representative and he will work nicely. So these two things are going on. Those who are trying to capture the governmental power for his personal ambition, they will be killed. They will be killed. This way, that way, they will be killed. And persons who are taking responsibility for maintenance of the government as representative of Krishna, they will be blessed by Krishna, and Krishna will be pleased. So at the present moment, the so-called democracy, nobody is representative of Krishna. Everyone is demons. Everyone is a demon. So, how you can expect peace and prosperity under this government? This is not possible. If you want, we have got to think politically also, because after all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna wants their welfare so that they may come back to home, back to God. So it is the duty of the Vaishnava to see that people are gradually educated to Krishna consciousness. So, perhaps it would be better if we can, we also capture political power. as there are many parties, Communist Party, Congress Party, this party, that party. So there must be one Krishna's party. Why not? Then people will be happy. If Krishna's party comes to the governmental post, that immediately there will be peace. In India there are so many slaughterhouses. There are, it is said that 10,000 cows are being killed every day. In the land where one cow was being attempted to be killed, immediately Maharaj Parikshit took his Sadhuvari. In that land, now 10,000 cows are being killed every day. So you expect peace? You expect prosperity? This is not possible. Therefore, if someday Krishna's representative take the governmental power, then he will immediately stop all these slaughterhouses, all these brothels, all these liquor houses. Then there will be peace and prosperity. Bhuta Bhava. Krishna will be pleased. Here is my representative. So there are so many things to understand from Srimad Bhagavatam. Full knowledge, all knowledge, as it is required by the human society. So we have to study from all angles of his hand, not simply by sentiment. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyata Deshatanine. Is this on? Barely. Hare Krishna. So amazing verse, amazing class from Srila Prabhupada. Quite a long class. Almost 40 minutes, 35 minutes, and so many different points. Let's go through some of the points that Srila Prabhupada mentioned. So, and I'll ask a few questions to keep everybody attentive. So what did Srila Prabhupada, what was the first Sanskrit word that Prabhupada mentioned in the class? He was talking about the dynasty, and he's saying it also means bamboo. Vamsa, yeah. So we hear like the Surya Vamsa means dynasty. I never heard that it means bamboo, but it makes sense, right? Vamsi is Krishna's flute, so that's the bamboo flute. So Prabhupada was explaining that it's the same, or it works the same way. The bamboo just spreads. Like I'm a gardener, we have a gardening business, so there's bamboo in people's gardens, it just spreads everywhere. It actually grows up through people's houses as well. It's very invasive. So dynasty is in the same way. Somebody gets married, they have children, they have their cousins, their children have children. Spreads very rapidly. Srila Prabhupada was saying the bamboo and the dynasty are very similar. And he was saying what happens sometimes with the bamboo. He says this in many different classes. Friction, yeah, sometimes there's friction and the bamboo rubs together. And I think he says here it creates electricity, some friction, some static electricity, and then it can create a fire. And a forest fire is created. Srila Prabhupada says usually no one starts a forest fire but He said in your countries, even these days, people are starting forest fires. So we hear about that also in the news sometimes. There was this big fire in LA recently. Sometimes they think people start these fires intentionally, but the point is that in the material world, we're not looking for problems. Everybody is looking for peace and prosperity, but it's inevitable that the problems are there. They can't be avoided. I was in Soho Street yesterday giving class in Soho, and on this verse that Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport that everybody is looking for peace and security, comfort and security in the material world, even though there is no comfort and security in the material world, and even though there'll never be any comfort and security in the material world, but still we're constantly looking for that and we constantly want it. He said, but you're never going to get it in the material world. So Prabhupada was saying there's no peace in this world because it's like anybody remember? It's like a prison. So in a prison, you don't go into the prison and say, yeah, I'd like, can I have room service, please? Can you bring me some apple ties and a portion of chips? They're like, this is a prison. You don't get any comfort. You get punished. You get put in an inconvenient situation with people who are also getting punished, who are also suffering, and that's what you get. So we're here in this material world. We can't expect it to be nice. This is designed exactly for that purpose. And Srila Prabhupada is saying, because we don't serve Krishna, that's why. Because we don't want to serve Krishna, then we're put into this inconvenient situation of this material world. He was saying, but the jiva is meant to serve Krishna. Does anybody remember what the example was he gave of how we should automatically serve Krishna? Yeah, exactly, like the finger serves the body. Which is actually quite a deep thing if you think about it, that, you know, I'm holding this microphone and put it in one hand to the other. We don't even think my hand is just doing what needs to be done. It's just instantaneous. So a devotee like Srila Prabhupada, then he just does what Krishna wants. It's just natural. It's so inherent. There's no friction. There's no reluctance. For sarvadharmam parijajam mamekam sharanam vaja. Whatever Krishna wants, then it's just done. No problem. We'll do whatever needs to be done. Yesterday in Soho we were doing questions and answers as well, and there was this one gentleman, and he was saying that he goes to work and he feels very contaminated when he goes to work. People touch him or they talk to him, and it's difficult for him to maintain his Krishna consciousness. And we were saying, yeah, you have to know how strong you are in Krishna consciousness and what you can take, how much sadhana you need. And we were giving the example of Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada left for a country that he'd never been to before for the first time. He was already in very poor health, 69 years old. He went without any money. He went without knowing anybody. He went to a country where he thought they may only eat meat and all he'll have to eat is potatoes. So this gentleman, he goes to work and he gets contaminated by the association of non-devotees. Srila Prabhupada, such spiritual strength, he sacrifices everything at the end of his life because he has that faith. And of course he's not contaminated. What did he do? He makes the whole world Krishna conscious. Because he has that mentality of whatever Krishna wants, then I act just like the finger acts in the body, then he's Krishna conscious and he's able to spread that to others. Then Srila Prabhupada mentions the Mayavadis, that the Mayavadis don't serve Krishna, they don't worship God, they want to become God. Exactly, they want to become God. And then Prabhupada says that, but Krishna, we don't want gods like that. We want the real God. Krishna is the real God. And how did Srila Prabhupada explain that Krishna is the proof that Krishna is really God? He kills so many demons, exactly. And he says Krishna was so young, just a few months old, he killed Putana, he killed Aghasura, he killed Aristasura. And then Srila Prabhupada goes into that interesting explanation of Krishna is God because he knew how to kill those demons even when he was just a few months old. Does anybody remember the details of those? Like, yeah? Yeah, he killed Keshi, he was a horse demon, and the way to control a horse is through its mouth. So Krishna put his hand in the mouth and he felt like an iron rod and he died like that. Bull demon, he killed Aristasura by controlling the horns, exactly. And he also mentioned Aghasura, he went into the back of his mouth and then he expanded. So interesting. Prabhupada was explaining how to control different animals and that Krishna also knew that. And then Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna is pleased by his, I'm trying to read my writing, pleased by his devotees. And he mentioned this Sanskrit term from the verse that he mentioned a few times. It's like the main couple of words that he took from the verse. Anybody remember? Pritamana. Yeah, Pritamana. That Krishna is pleased by his devotees give him satisfaction. But most people, they don't know who God is. Most people don't understand God at all. And then he said, people aren't interested in God. What are they interested in? Themselves, yeah? Sorry? Ahamameti, yeah. Not in this exact point, we're going to get to that. He compared them to birds. So what do the birds do when they get up in the morning? Chirp, they chirp, yeah? But what are they saying to each other? Sorry? Yeah, where am I going to eat? Where's the food? Where are we going to find something to eat? And Srila Prabhupada says we're exactly the same, but we don't go out into the streets. Look, where am I going to find something to eat? Where do we go, Srila Prabhupada said? To the market, but a specific market? The share market, he said. Yeah, usually we would call it the stock market. They go to the stock market, buying and selling shares. Are my shares appreciating? Are they depreciating? Should I buy? Should I sell? What should I invest in? Should I invest in Bitcoin? Is it going up? Is it going down? And it's very interesting the way Prabhupada says it, right? It's exactly the same thing. We think it's different because we don't go out pecking on the floor, like looking in the bushes, any food anywhere. Unfortunately, we don't go out picking fruit from the trees because we don't have any fruit trees, or we don't go out doing agriculture so much, although we have a Holland farm here where they do. We drive to Tesco's. We think it's better, it's more civilized, right? I drive to Tesco's or I get my food delivered by Sainsbury's. But it's exactly the same thing. Or we do our job. And my spiritual master would say, he says, don't think that your job is anything special. It's just about you eating. That's it. Don't take it so seriously. You're going to go to university. You're going to get your qualification. You're going to become whatever it is. You're going to have your career. It's just so you can eat. Don't get too excited. Don't think you're a big accountant or IT professional or lawyer. It's just so you can eat. And Srila Prabhupada would say, and how much can you eat? If you're earning £15,000 a year, you're going to eat the same 4 chapatis at lunch. If you're earning £1 million a year, you're not going to eat 1 million chapatis at lunchtime. You're going to eat 4 chapatis. So what's the difference? No difference. So then he talked about the bird and the stock market and said, but this is not what life is about. Life is about inquiring about the absolute truth. And what's the verse Srila Prabhupada said for that? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Yeah, so he mentions that a few times. And interestingly, he says, perhaps it's only this movement which is giving that. Which is quite an amazing thing if you think about how many people are on this planet and how many people are sitting in this room or in Soho or in Karuna Bhavan or in Wales. Must be We have some statisticians here, must be like 0.01% or those people who are actually practicing Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, really, maybe it's only this movement who is inquiring correctly about the absolute truth. And Prabhupada is saying, so that mood, we have to develop that pritimana, we have to develop that mood of pleasing Krishna. And he says, this is the mood of who? The gopis, yeah. Srila Prabhupada said, this is the mood of the gopis. And he says, this is the mood of our Gaudiya Vaishnava movement. And he says, it's about pleasing Krishna. It's not about pleasing ourselves, yeah. So very easy to be absorbed in how we're pleasing ourselves. How do I feel? How do I feel today? How do you feel? How are you? I'm good, thank you. It's not about how we feel, it's about how Krishna is. Maybe we should ask each other when we meet each other. Hare Krishna, how is Krishna? Oh, he's good. I gave him some burger today. Not about how happy we are, it's about how Krishna is happy. And then Prabhupada talks about the situation that's mentioned in the verse, Kurukshetra, and he talks about the forest fire again, and says that Krishna killed all of the demons just like everything is burnt down during a forest fire. All of the demons were burnt, but Krishna didn't do it personally, so who did all of that work? Sorry? Arjuna, yeah. So Arjuna did that, and Arjuna was used as Krishna's instrument. And Srila Prabhupada says, just like Arjuna killed all the demons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he gives an example. What else is similarly happening like that right now? Yeah, so he said ISKCON is also spreading. 2 points for you, Mataji. 2 in a row. So he says, yeah, this movement is also spreading all over the world. And who's getting the credit? Prabhupada's getting the credit. But he said, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing what Krishna told me to do. So just like Arjuna, he gets all the credit, but really it's Krishna. He's just fulfilling Krishna's desire, just acting on Krishna's instruction. So I'm doing the same. People are giving me credit, but I'm not really doing anything. And Prabhupada says that if we do that, if we develop that pritamana, that desire to serve Krishna, then what does Krishna do? He said Krishna helps, yeah, Krishna helps us. So if you try, I think he says 1%, then Krishna helps 10%. Krishna does 10 times as much. You just do a little bit, try to serve Krishna with whatever facilities you have, our limited facilities, and then Krishna reciprocates manyfold. He's very happy with that endeavor. But the qualification is for that you have to be good looking. No, you have to be sincere. Krishna says, Prabhupada says you have to be sincere. And how did he define that sincerity? Somebody just mentioned it there. What is that sincerity in Krishna consciousness? Bhakti, yeah. Krishna, and Prabhupada says bhakti. Like these days we often call it bhakti yoga. Right? People can relate to it more than devotional service or loving God. We do bhakti. We don't do hatha yoga, we do bhakti yoga. I'm practicing bhakti. And Prabhupada also said that we do bhakti. And that is the sincerity that pleases Krishna and attracts Krishna and encourages Krishna to reciprocate with us. And Prabhupada says that it's not, that this bhakti is devotion, it's not something else. Anybody remember that part of the lecture? He says it's not external. So some people, he said, criticize our American disciples, he said, that they may be born in this family or that family, they may be brought up eating meat, drinking alcohol. But he said that that is offensive to think of devotees like that, because devotees are above the modes of material nature. Does anybody remember any of the verses that Prabhupada quoted there? There's like 3 different verses. Yeah, so he's saying that it's offensive to think of a devotee according to his material situation. There was a couple more he mentioned. Anybody remember? Yeah, he said, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. That if one performs devotional service, then one is above the modes of material nature. So you can't consider somebody in the modes of material nature if they're a Vaishnava and they're serving Krishna, because they're not in the modes of material nature, at least to some degree. And there was one more verse that Prabhupada mentioned. No, not there. He said, Chaturvanyam maya shishtam guna karma vibhagasha, that there's Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Brahmana, but the devotees are above these modes of material nature because they're serving Krishna. And then Prabhupada talks about Krishna creating the world. He says it's not really Brahma who creates the world, it's Krishna who creates the world. And that he creates the spiritual and the material world. And Prabhupada talks a little bit about the material world. Does anybody remember the Sanskrit that he used for that? Bhava. He was saying bhava. And what does bhava mean? That it becomes. So the spiritual world is eternally there, and the material world is created, and then it's annihilated also. It's coming and going. And Srila Prabhupada said the same about our bodies as well. He mentioned my body also, your body is created, and then it's annihilated at a certain time. And he says, but although it comes and it goes, this material world, but it's not false. So it is real. So the Mayavadis say that this material world is false, but it's not false. But what is false? Sorry? They think that I'm the enjoyer. Exactly. That is false. So this material world is here, it's real, it's concrete, it's Krishna's energy. That's not the illusion. The illusion is to think that I can enjoy this energy, or that energy is there for my enjoyment. That is the illusion. That's what the Mayavadis don't understand. And then Prabhupada says that who is it that can maintain this world in the correct way so that people can understand this? Who is it that does that? Krishna's party, yeah. There's something else I'm looking for. His representative, and who is his representative? King, yeah, exactly, the king. So that's what this verse is about. Maharaj Yudhishthira is established in power after the Kurus are, well, the Kauravas are destroyed and then they're becoming re-established. So he's saying the king, a devotee king, can maintain this world in the proper way. And what is the point of the governance of the king? Sorry?
The slaughterhouses.
No. Huh?
To establish the principles.
Yeah, but Srila Prabhupada says to liberate the souls, to liberate the subjects in the country, that is the goal, not to just live comfortably, not to become rich, not to have a big house, not to not have wars, or not even to not kill cows, but the point is to become liberated and to liberate all of the subjects in the kingdom. That is what the king is supposed to do. And then Srila Prabhupada says, because if they don't get liberated, then what happens to the souls in this world? After some time? They come back, and where do they go? Srila Prabhupada talks about it. He says they merge into the body of Mahavishnu at the end of this creation. And he says, what happens if you merge into the body of Mahavishnu? You come back again, and he said, you're there for millions of years. So he's concerned about us, Srila Prabhupada, that we're in this material world. If you don't get liberated at the end of the creation, how much time you're wasting? Millions and millions of years just merged in the body of Mahavishnu, and then you're created again. So Prabhupada is saying we're trying to avoid this because the responsibility of human life is to serve Krishna. Then he talks also about the king again, how he's representing God. And he talks about the politicians that we have these days. What does Srila Prabhupada say will happen to the politicians? This was like the best bit. He said they'll all be killed, yeah. So all of the politicians, if they're not following the rules of Krishna, then they'll be killed. Which is nice to hear, because they do so much nonsense and they're in power, and we have more and more stupid politicians with so many terrible policies. And they're just in power, making millions of pounds, exploiting so many people. And Srila Prabhupada is showing that no, if they're impious, if they're not following the laws of God, and they're exploiting people, then the laws of material nature will take care of them. And he says, what kind of government do we have right now? It says democracy, and he says it's a demon government that we have at the moment. And what does Prabhupada say might be good for the ISKCON movement right now? This was in 70... Yeah, he said a political party. Maybe it would be good if we had a political party. And political power, he said actually. Maybe it would be good if we had political power. So they tried that. They had a political party, and they disbanded it after some time. And Prabhupada went on to criticize what's happening in the world at the moment. What did he say is happening in India at that time, which was very discouraging? Yes, 10,000 cows being killed a day. He said when Parikshit Maharaj was on the planet, one cow was getting abused, and immediately he went to kill that perpetrator. He said now 10,000 cows are being killed every day in India, supposedly the home of Dharma. So something needs to be done about that. And if we have a Krishna conscious government, then what would they do? What would they stop? Exactly. They would stop slaughterhouses, brothels, and liquor houses. So not particularly complicated, really. If we had a Krishna conscious government came in, they made all of those things illegal, then that would change the karma of the whole world so much just by stopping people engaging in illicit activities. Okay, so that was the power-packed, detail-packed lecture of Srila Prabhupada. So nice for me to prepare for it, because you see how much Srila Prabhupada is putting into every lecture. So many points. You could write a whole book about just one lecture of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we'll finish there. We're over time. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare